traditionell sitzt dann keiner mehr auf der Haupttribüne, auf der Bildsteintribüne in der Start und Ziel. Und auch auf der AMG, respektive Mercedes-Tribüne, ist dann der Datenverbrauch, was die Handyfilmerei und das Staunen angeht, sehr, sehr beeindruckend. Das wird ein Spektakel, Gänsehautmomente, da können wir jetzt schon mal ein bisschen drauf einstellen. Ja, auch die Techniker freuen sich, dass sie mal im Bild eingefangen sind. Wollen wir gleich auf die Zuschauer ins Stream begrüßen. Mal.
The mighty ADAC GT Masters. We are go. The car span out. And he's given the squeeze. Look at this side by side. Pulling out right in front. And really good close racing. Wonderful stuff.
Und damit erneut ein herzliches Willkommen zu Rennen 1 zum ADAC GT Masters am Nürburgring. Das Ganze im Rahmen vom Truck Grand Prix. Die Zuschauer vor Ort, die haben wir schon so ein bisschen mitgenommen, die haben wir abgeholt. Wollen wir jetzt die Zuschauer auch im Livestream zu Hause begrüßen auf der YouTube-Seite des ADACs. Genau, die Bedingungen in der Eifel, ich sag mal so, das könnte schon noch ein Grad wärmer sein mit 17,4 Grad. Aber nur diese Segel, das sind ja grundsätzlich gute Voraussetzungen, um in der Eifel Motorsport zu betreiben. Das Truck Grand Prix Festival an diesem Wochenende läuft einmal mehr die Fans in die Eifel, das zur großen Freude auch der Piloten. 19 Autos stehen am Start. Die letzten Vorbereitungen werden getroffen und dann springen sich gleich an die Motoren aus dem Hause Lamborghini, aus dem Hause Mercedes, Aston Martin, BMW, Ferrari, Porsche und Co. Das sind unsere Boliden in der Liga der Supersportwagen. 80 Minuten Rennaction erleben wir heute. Also für alle ADAC GT Masters Fans, wir haben ein bisschen die Rennzeit verlängert. Tim Zimmermann, das war der am schnellsten war heute in der Qualifikation heute Morgen. 9:25 begann die Zeittrainingsjagd und der Lamborghini-Pilot Orange Blau, der schnellste. Daneben Tom Kalender für ADAC Motorsport. Die zweite Position das Auto mit der 1, die am Ende sind Champion und Tabellenführer. Die zweite Startreihe gehört dem Team von Top Racing in Motorsports, also unweit des Nürburgrings zu Hause, war Finn Liebelhaus mit Startposition 3 und Selmo Novega mit Startposition 4 Start der Qualifikation unterwegs. Dahinter Spitzelalm, Walkenhorst, schauen wir uns gleich nochmal an, wenn das ins Starting Grid bzw. die Einführungsrunde hineingeht und wir nochmal den kompletten Feld durch die Startrunde kommen. Hier sehen wir den Spitzelalm Racing Boliden mit Master 8 Startfahrer laufen. Also 3 Geilstarter am Wochenende. Der erste Martin gehört zum Programm. Genau wie weit wir Motorsport ganz verwandt sind, dass hier auch auf der Langstrecke kommen wir NLS. Sprintformat im Hause aus Aston Martin, die hier verwandt sind. Meister Dortmund, das ist sein Nenner mit Start in der Maßnahme 2020. Das Rennformat, das kurz nochmal für die neu eingestiegenen Zuschauer im Stream dazu. 80 Minuten. Es wird 2 Boxenstopps zwischen der 15. und 25. und zwischen der 55. und 65. Minute geben. Die Renndauer, wie gesagt, 80 Minuten. Bei beiden Boxenstopps wird der Fahrer gewechselt. Ein Boxenstopp können sich die Teams raussuchen zum Reifenwechsel und auch nachgetankt wird. Das ist den Teams überlassen, bei einem oder bei beiden Stopps. Aber man hat sich gesagt, bevor wir morgen das 250. Rennen im ADAC Masters machen, passen wir das Format ein bisschen an. Haben wir grundsätzlich die Ausrichtung in der Liga der Supersportwagen über den Winter mit dem Zugewinn der DTM im Portfolio des ADACs angepasst und hier gar keine Profifahrer beispielsweise zugelassen. Die Serie gehört dem Nachwuchs, die Serie gehört keinen Kunden alleine lassen, wenn wir auch hier bei starken Teams fahren und nicht die Kurve 1 runterfahren. Kann auch im langsamen Tempo, aber das Ausgerüste sicherlich.
Masters, the drivers have 4 sets of tyres over a weekend, one of which needs to be used in free practice, so 3 brand new sets of tyres to use over the 2 races this weekend. So a lot of strategy, when to bring the car in, when to refuel it. It will be one that's going to be really interesting to watch. The fueling has to be done and the fueling mechanic has to be clear of the car before the tyre change can take place. The fuel can has to be a maximum of 26 litres to be carried by 1 person only. So a driver in this race who's starting off will be back in the car for stint number 3 after the second pit stop. When we do this all again at Spa-Francorchamps, we've got a problem there. One of our guest cars, that's J-Mo Hartling, who's clearly had a problem at the start of this formation lap. You can see him at the end of the pit lane, so we're not going to get going here. At the end of the pit lane, J-Mo Hartling, who's guesting along with Moritz Viskersen, and it's great to welcome Schnitzelam Racing to the grid for this weekend, but it looks to me like car number 12 is not going to get going. You can see there's a truck out on track. That is the pace truck. That's something a bit unusual for this weekend, but we have problems already. Now let's have a look. You can see at the top of your picture, he lit up the tyres. Of course, tyre warmers are not allowed in GT Masters, so the tyres would have been cold. He's clearly given it a bit of a welly. The car has swapped ends, and what a disastrous start for J-Mo Hartling. The car severely damaged. That is not going to make the start of this race, and Moritz Viskersen is not going to get a drive of that car. The 2024 GT Winter Series champion, who's joining us as a guest, one of several guests this weekend. You can see the red flags are out. This is not the way that we wanted to start the first ever endurance race in the ADAC GT Masters, and I should think that the heart will be sinking for J-Mo Hartling. He's just been attended to in the car. It's a sizable impact. You can see the dent in the fence. The cold tyres on that Mercedes, just not with the grip. He's given it a bit of acceleration, so the driver being attended to, and clearly one of 2 Schnitzelam Racing Mercedes that are going to be taking part, and it's good to see Jay out of the car. Well, he's okay, we can see that, but he will be absolutely devastated about that. After doing all the qualifying, he was starting from 15th place on the grid. The rest of the field have come back round. So we'll need to have a few moments to get that tidied up, and I should think someone will need to wrap an arm around the shoulders of J-Mo. Was very excited to be part of the GT Masters. As I said before, he won the GT Winter Series Championship earlier this year, one of the real up-and-coming superstars in GT3 racing, and that is going to be a tough old lesson to learn. You see at the top of your picture again, a replay there. Clearly, just a little bit too much power on those cold tyres and the Mercedes. And there's another view here. He'd be quite happy if we didn't show this anymore, I should think. So the car just swapping ends, making sizable impact with the barrier. And it means that this race is not going to get going straight away. The cars are brought back to the grid. Now, I'm hoping that they're not going to need to do any repairs to that fence. But one thing is for sure, that Schnitzelam Mercedes AMG GT3 a little bit shorter than it was but a few minutes ago, and that is going to have to go back to the garage. And the Schnitzelam crew, who are based not that far from here, just down the road from the Nürburgring, are going to have to get to work on that car and get it ready for tomorrow. You can see the damage that has been done to the barrier, and the DMSB crew inspecting it just to see whether there's anything that needs to be done to it before we can get this race underway. So we are under red flag conditions before we even went to green as a result of car number 12 swapping ends as this race started out on the formation lap. It wasn't the race that even got going, and As I was going to say before this all started, we are part of the Truck Grand Prix. There is a massive crowd here at the Nürburgring this weekend. The atmosphere is absolutely electric, and many people looking at GT Masters for the very first time and experiencing GT3 racing for the very first time. So you can see the tyres out in the pit lane. It is the first race ever in GT Masters to feature tyre changes. It's not the first race to feature refueling, because up until 2011, GT Masters required refueling because the cars wouldn't go the full distance. So they have been refueled in the past, but now the mandatory refueling and the changing of all four wheels is required during one of the two pit windows. Pit window that will open 15 minutes into the race and stay open for 10 minutes, and another one that will open 55 minutes in the race and again opening for 10 minutes. We're looking again at that moment where the Schnitzelam team's collective hearts would have sunk into their shoes and that car, and it was just getting on the power on cold tyres, and so much horsepower, 500 plus horsepower in these GT3 cars, and the tyres not able to accommodate that level of power, as we see again J-Mo Hartling disappearing off into the pits. He's guesting this weekend, and I hope that we will see him again. Well, hopefully they'll get the car together for tomorrow and we'll see him back out on the grid. He is one of several guests this weekend. We welcome alongside J-Mo Hartling, not going to get a race this afternoon by the looks of things, Moritz Verskirchen. He guested in a couple of races last year at Hockenheim. He got a 5th and a 6th place there. We saw him in ADAC GT for Germany in 2021 and 2022. Schnitzelam have entered 2 cars as guest entrants this weekend. The other one being driven by a driver that we have waited a very long time to see in GT Masters, Julian Hanses. A great driver, a very talented driver. He's featured very heavily in the GTC series. We saw him in ADAC GT for Germany last year. We saw him in Porsche 6 Carrera Cup Germany. He's come from Formula Racing, and he's very excited to be part of GT Masters at last, and not a moment too soon. Very excited to see what he can do. And joining him will be Marcel Marchewitz, who has guested in 4 races in the GT Masters in 2023. He had a couple of 5th places, but he's also won here at the Nürburgring in the ADAC GT for Germany, and that was in 2022. Right, we had a notification. Our endurance race, well, is getting shorter. The new race distance will be 77 minutes plus 1 lap. That's allowing for the cars that will need to do another formation lap. So 3 minutes has been taken off the duration of this race. It doesn't look as though the fence is going to need any attention at this time. I dare say that once it gets dark tonight and all activities have finished, the crew will get to work on that very dented fence. We are part of the Truck Grand Prix this weekend, the European Truck Grand Prix. They have been spectacular here around the Nürburgring. Careful with the Mercedes as we lower it onto the flatbed truck. The Truck Racing Grand Prix, we had a big incident a little while ago, just before this race, on one of the other truck races that was supporting here, where a number of trucks got together. Very heavy impact on the home straight. So the barrier's already taken a bit of a beating here at the Nürburgring this afternoon. And the GT3 cars are joining in with the action as well. There is Tim Zimmerman. Right, I was telling you about guest starters. So 4 drivers, 2 cars for Schnitzelam Racing, who are based about 30 kilometers from here. And all have been talking very much about entering a car into the DTM, and certainly they were mooting that last year. Didn't happen this year, so maybe next year we'd see Schnitzelam on the grid for DTM. One can only hope. Also, though, we welcome to the grid for the first time in 9 years Harold Prochik's team, HP Racing International. And Harold Prochik, an absolute legend in the world of motor racing and in the world of the the ADAC. He's back after 9 years, not driving, but fielding 2 cars for HP Racing International. He was last year in 2015. He finished 5th in a Mercedes-Benz SLS AMG GT3 with 3 podiums, with Harold Procik himself driving the car. His best was a 2nd place at Lausitz Ring, but he, of course, then went on to become the champion in the ADAC TCR Germany Series in 2018. But he's got a couple of drivers here who are on the grid. Coach McCancy making his debut, one of 3 bronze drivers on the grid, 3 Pro-Am pairings, fulfilling his dream of racing in GT Masters. And we welcome back Gerhard Tweresa. We saw him last time out at Zandvoort. He's raced in GT Masters many times in 2012, 13, 14 and 16. His best result was a 4th place at the Red Bull Ring in 2014. So Gerhard and Coach are racing in the HP Racing International car. We also welcome, went very high there, we also welcome Matteo Lorena, who is sitting in for Taylor Hagler in the number 19 GRT Grasser rating Lamborghini, alongside JJ Bernhardt, who picked up an unfortunate fine for speeding in the pit lane during qualifying this morning. Probably learned that one the hard way. But GRT Grasser Racing, Matteo Lorena, great to have him, the Italian Guatemalan, usually seen in GT World Challenge Europe, the Endurance Cup, with GRT Grasser stepping into the seat of the number 19 car for this event only, and we'll be doing the 2nd stint. To explain to you again the stint issues, we have 2 pit stops. So the driver who starts this race, the driver who qualified this morning, will do stint number 1 and stint number 3. In fact, you can see there is some repair work being done to the fence, so we may have a bit of a delay to the start of this race. So the driver who qualified this morning and who is doing the 1st stint in this race will get back in the car after the 2nd pit window. So that will be at the minute later on in the race. And the driver who does the 2nd stint during this race will then be qualifying the car. As we look at Mike David Ortman, good to see him out there. He's qualified the car, so he will be doing stints 1 and 3. We send them right back to you, Mike. And his co-driver, Denis Bulatov, will be doing stint 2. But then tomorrow, for the shorter race, the 40-minute race, Denis Bulatov, i.e. driver number 2, will be qualifying the car and doing just the 1st stint. And then when we do this all again at Spa-Francorchamps at the end of August, it will be the other way round. So driver number 2, yes, we know, Mike David Ortman and Denis Bulatov, the 2 drivers well, Ortman is the outgoing ADAC GT4 Germany champion, and Denis Bulatov is the driver who pressed him all the way and finished 2nd. So the great rivals have become great friends and are now alongside each other in the BCMC and Vulcan Horse Motorsport Aston Martin Vantage. Great to have Vulcan Horse Motorsport on the grid along with BCMC. They know how to prepare a car. Very rapid it is too. So the 1st and the 2nd place in last year's ADAC GT4 Germany in the championship are getting together, and a potent driver pairing they are, and we have very high expectations for them. No pressure at all, but they are very much championship contenders, and we're looking forward to seeing how the season unfolds for them. Anyway, back to the stints. So at Spa-Francorchamps at the end of August, the driver who goes 2nd in the endurance race today will be required to do the 1st and the 3rd stint in that race. So across the 2 endurance races over this season, now there are just 2 endurance races as part of this season, every driver will have done a race where they've done the 1st and the 3rd stint, and every driver will, in theory, have done a 2nd stint. I hope that all makes sense. Very exciting, great to see the ADAC pushing and seeing how far they can go with the GT Masters. Right, I'm just looking, estimated start time, 15:35 local time. So We've got about 20 minutes that we're going to need to just fill here. So bring on the potter's wheel. Going to be about a 20-minute delay getting this going because we have got damage to the fence that will need a fair bit of attention in the ADAC GT Masters. So the cars are back on the grid. This is a chance for the drivers to get out, get a bit of air, stretch the legs, because it's going to be a little while. It's not especially hot out at the moment. We have had a bit of rain this week. It was, in fact, yesterday it was foggy, and we rocked up here at the Nürburgring thinking, oh, this is traditional Nürburgring weather. It's going to be foggy. It's going to be one of those weekends. But actually, this morning, the sky has broken lovely and blue. The showers have moved away. We're not expecting any today, presuming we can get this going before it gets too dark. And we have a little bit of wind, as you can see from the flags at the top of your pictures, but the temperature is 18 degrees, so it's a bit nippy, but it is not freezing cold, not boiling hot, some would say. Perfect for going racing. You can see the brand new section of Armco being fitted by our very hard-working track staff. And the reason there's a truck at the back, the pace truck, is this is the only time getting a bit of air into Elias Seppänen and Tom Callender's Landgraf Motorsport Mercedes. The reason there's a truck on the track is we do not have a pace car here. We have a pace truck in celebration of the fact that we are at the European Truck Grand Prix, and it will be a great spectacle once we get it going in front of the many, many fans, expecting well over 100,000 people here this weekend. And a lot of them who have never witnessed GT3 racing before, have never witnessed GT Masters, this series that is in its 18th season, making it the longest running GT3 series in the world. Since 2007, GT Masters has competed on 13 racetracks in 6 different countries. Most of the events, or the majority, as in more than anybody else, have been held at the Nürburgring. And the racing series started here all the way back on the 7th of June in 2007. So we got to the stage of reading technical advice on tyres. Yes, that's what we're doing. 7th of June 2007. And of course, it was Christopher Haase and Gianni Morbidelli. Remember him, who won from pole position in the first ever race in the GT Masters. And Christopher Haase, who went on to become the first ever champion in the GT Masters. In the 248 races to date, the GT Masters has featured many prominent drivers, okay? So these include 6 times Rally World Champion Sébastien Ogier, which many will remember. We've also had an Olympic downhill champion and a world champion, Patrick Ortlieb, who is a ski jumping star, Sven Hannavold, and Olympic bobsleigh champion, Christoph Langen. Also joining has been Albert von Thurn und Taxis, who even won the driver's title in 2010, Malaysian Prince Tunku Haman Sulong, and Bernhard van Orangie from the Netherlands. Also Brazilian director Walter Salas also dared to make the leap into the League of Super Sports Cars. So we've had some great names. We've also had 15 former Formula One drivers who have competed in the ADAC GT Masters, including Heinz-Harald Frentzen, a legendary name. Marcus Winkelhock, not that long ago we saw Marcus in the ADAC GT Masters. Karl Wendlinger, Bernd Schneider, Jan Lammers, Mika Salo, Christian Klein, and Jack Aitken. Of course, Jack, who is currently very much stealing the headlines in DTM. We saw him starting from pole position at the Nürburgring this time last year. And if any of the people on the terraces, we wave at you, please feel free to wave back. I know some people are listening to the commentary via live streaming. I can only apologise. So far this year, we've had 18 different brands who have competed, not this year, in the history of GT Masters. 18 different brands who have competed against each other. We've had Ascari, Well, let's go back a bit. Aston Martin, Audi, Bentley, BMW Alpina, Chevrolet, the Corvette, who can forget the Corvette, Dodge, Ferrari, Ford, Honda, Jaguar, Lamborghini, McLaren, Mercedes, Nissan, and Porsche have all taken part in the GT Masters. I'd like to pretend I'm doing all of this from memory. We'll just keep that illusion going. I'm not reading it, honest. The fastest race of the ADAC GT Masters to date was the Sunday race in Spielberg in 2017. An average of 170.9 kilometers an hour. They didn't have a 3-hour delay at the beginning, did they? It was won by Christian Engelhardt and Rolf van Eycken in the Lamborghini Huracan of GT Grasser. The other thing that's happened this year is the twins, the twin factor. A total of 4 pairs of twins have already started the GT Masters. We've had Alfred and Robert Renauer, as well as Dennis and Mark Busch. But this year, for the first time ever, wait for this, this is great. It's the first time ever, there's Leon Köhler, hello Leon. It's the first time ever that we've had 2 sets of identical twins starting at the same time in the GT Masters. We have the Holzem twins for Land Motorsports, Sandro and Giuliano, and we have the Kapfinger twins. Great to have them for Team U Sportwagen Technique in the Porsche, Johannes and Michael, whichever you prefer to pronounce it, in the number 91 car. They are also identical twins, so there we go, useless information. We've had 13 women who have competed in the Super Sports Car League since 2007. 2 racing drivers, Claudia Hürtgen with 7 wins and Rahel Frey with 2 wins. They made it to the top step of the podium. And there's currently, normally, a lady in a GT Masters in the shape of the American Taylor Hagler, but scheduling commitments this weekend means that she's watching from afar. We say good afternoon, good morning probably to Taylor Hagler if she's watching from America, and you're probably yelling at Matteo Lorena, who's sitting in for you. Look after the car, please. Also, JJ Bernhardt, because the number 19 GRT Grasser Lamborghini is normally the seat that she is sitting in. In 106 races so far, the eventual winner has started from pole position, and I think Tim Zimmerman wants to make that 107 if he possibly can. And the best qualifier in the ADAC GT Masters was Frank Keischel. He took pole position a total of 9 times. The Mercedes-AMG GT3 leads the way with 28 qualifying best times. I hope you're enjoying this. If you're still with us, congratulations. Just to update you, if you have just joined us, we have a stoppage. We are under red flag conditions in front of this large crowd as a result of an accident that has happened on the formation lap. J-Mo Hartling, who in the Schnitzerland Mercedes lit up the rear tyres, and sadly the Mercedes has ended up headfirst in the barrier just on the exit to the pits. Done a fair amount of damage to the barrier, a significantly more amount of damage to the Mercedes that he was driving. So we've had to bring a halt to everything, take the cars back to the grid, and at the moment I'm contracted to do a bit of a monologue just to keep things rolling, and we are hoping to get this underway in not too far, about 12 minutes, about 11.5 minutes from now. There will be 2 formation laps that will take place, and it'll be time to get the tyres back up to temperature once again, and we will be racing. Few other things to talk about. I was actually going through useless information. With 53 pole positions, Lamborghini leads the list ahead of Audi with the 48 qualifying best times. Well, we'll make that 54 pole positions on account of Tim Zimmerman putting the Lamborghini on pole for this race with a lap record. Sebastian Asch, the 2012 champion, holds the record for the most races with 190 races, so top draw there. And 156 different drivers, 52 teams and 11 brands have so far achieved at least one victory in the ADAC GT Masters. And 156 different drivers over 248 races, as JJ Bernhardt just leaning on the rear wing there. That is pretty impressive, and it just shows how competitive GT Masters is, the balance of performance, which brings all these different brands, so many different cars, different varieties, little engines, big engines, front engine, rear engine, mid engines, turbocharged, naturally aspirated cars, all come together and compete incredibly closely because of the balance of performance, and that is borne out by the fact that the top 13 on the grid here today were separated by about 9.5 tenths of a second. So it really is incredibly close. The top 3 drivers, going back to GT Masters stats, with the most overall victories are led by Daniel Kylwitz with 22 victories. Behind him are Christian Engelhardt with 18 and Christopher Mies with 13. Christian Engelhardt, who currently races in the DTM. Daniel Kylwitz, haven't seen him racing for a while, would love to see him back in GT Masters. As Leon Köhler finally getting himself suited and booted, ready to get behind the wheel of the car. Right, most successful brand in the GT Masters is the Audi. We saw the 50th victory of the Audi not that long ago. Porsche has achieved 43 victories ahead of Lamborghini with 38. And the Callaway competition team have recorded 35 overall victories during its time in the ADAC GT Masters, making them the most successful team in the series history. And the Corvette, well, who can forget that? On only 20 weekends of the ADAC GT Masters have the same driver duo won both races. And on that note, I would remind you there is a success ballast, and the driver who wins the race today, tomorrow will have an extra 20 kilos of success ballast on board. The driver who comes second will have an extra 10 kilograms of success ballast, and the driver who comes third will have an extra 5 kilograms of success ballast. And in this race, it's Leon Köhler who is sharing driving duties with Max Osten in the FK Performance BMW, who will have the extra 20 kilos on account of the fact that they took their second win of the season in race 2 at Zandvoort last time out. Alex Fack and Alexander Schwarzer have an extra 10 kilos on board in that car there, car number 4 for Fack Autotech, on account of finishing second in the second race at Zandvoort. And Salman Vega and David Schumacher have 5 kilos on account of finishing in third place. And I will just shout out Alex Fack and Alexander Schwarzer, who did a sterling job. All the drivers are categorized by the FIA, and we have silver and bronze rated drivers in this race. The silver drivers are the professional drivers, the bronze drivers are the AM drivers, and we have 3 Pro-Am pairings on the grid, which is great because up until this weekend it had just been car number 4, Alex Fack and Alexander Schwarzer were the only Pro-Am pairing, but we are joined now by Coach McCancy and Gerhard Tweresa. Coach McCancy is a bronze driver, Gerhard Tweresa is silver. And also a change from the last time you saw them, Chandler Hull has now changed his status to bronze, or at least the FI have changed his status to bronze. Nico Handke is silver, so they are the 3rd Pro-Am pairing, and they are fighting in the Pro-Am Championship as well. What it does mean is that because they are in theory at a disadvantage, the Pro-Am pairings have a shorter pit stop time when they come in for their mandatory pit stop. So In the first pit window, or in the shorter of the pit windows, the silver pairings have a minimum pit stop time of 80 seconds. And the Pro-Am pairing have a minimum pit stop of 70 seconds. So they potentially can gain an extra 10 seconds through the pit stop sequence. In the long pit stop, whichever one the team chooses it to be, as some very willing spectators are hauled up for the best view of anybody in the entire circuit. In the longer pit stop, the silver driver pairings will have a minimum pit stop time of 100 seconds. That's for fueling and also for tyre changes. The Pro-Am pairings will have a minimum pit stop time of 90 seconds. So there is a difference of 20 seconds between the silver pairings and the silver bronze pairings. And we saw certainly Alex Fack and Alexander Schwarzer putting that to very good use at Zandvoort. They were able to come home in second place, and what a thrilling race that was. We have only had 2 driver pairings who have won this year. Max Osten and Leon Köhler have 2 wins this season. And Elias Seppänen and Tom Callender also have 2 wins. The season opener was won by Köhler and Osten, and the last race we saw at Zandvoort was also won by them. The 2 in the middle were won by Elias Seppänen and Tom Callender. So all to play for. It means the championship is very close. Having said that, Max Osten and Leon Köhler, a 4th place and a 5th place. By my standards, that is pretty spectacular. But it means that Elias Seppänen and Tom Callender do lead the way in the championship at the moment by 9 points as a result of Callender and Seppänen's 2 points that they picked up in quali this morning. Keep an eye on Finn Wiebelhaus and Janis Fitcher. They have yet to score their first combined win in ADAC GT Masters, and you just know it's not too far away. Finn Wiebelhaus, Janis Fitcher had a 2nd place in race 2 at the season opener in Oschersleben, and you get the feeling it's probably not going to be too long before they are stood on the top step of the podium. Our pole sitter, Tim Zimmerman and Benjamin Heites. Well, Tim Zimmerman has sat on pole position before. He is also a previous race winner. And by my calculations, his race wins were at Lausitzring in 2022 and Hockenheim last year. But looking for his first win of this season. And Benjamin Heites also won twice last year, once here at the Nürburgring and once at Hockenheim. We do have previous winners from last year. This event last year, race 1 was won by Elias Seppänen and Salmon Ovega. Race 2 was won by Benjamin Heites and Marco Mappelli. So 3 drivers on this grid know what it tastes like to win here. It's probably what most of the people watching this stream are doing at the moment. You can wake up now because we are but 2.5 minutes away from the second attempt to get this race underway. Right, first pit stop window will open at 62 minutes remaining race time. We'll let you do the sums on that one. So the pit window, everything is a little bit delayed. Everything is shifted along because our first ever 80-minute race is going to be a 77-minute race as a result of this stoppage. And we'll try again at Spa-Francorchamps at the end of August, where hopefully we can get this underway. So let's have a look. 2 minutes remaining on the clock. Let's take a look at the grid for this race. We hear a round of applause for our very hard-working crew who've done a sterling job putting the track back together again after headfirst with a Mercedes AMG. It was, I'm afraid, Fence 1, Mercedes 0 on that particular instance. So for this race. It is Tim Zimmermann in the orange and blue Lamborghini on the left-hand side of your picture, who starts from pole position. Tom Callender in the #1 Mercedes, the gold and white car to the right of your picture, who will start alongside him, qualified 7/100ths of a second slower than Tim Zimmermann, who did record a new lap record, a 1:25.219 with that pole position. Finn Wiebelhaus will be very racy from third on the grid, and the other of the defending champions in ADAC GT Masters, Samuel Vega, make it an all HRT Row 2, starting on the 4th position. Marcel Marchevitz guesting this weekend, solid job in 5th place alongside Mike David Ortman, who declared that they had got as much out of that Aston Martin as they could in quali this morning. On the next row, Leon Köhler, second in the championship, has Jean-Luc de Oria alongside him. And on the next row, it's Johannes Kapfinger and Nico Hankke, the first of our Pro-Am pairings. On row 6, it is Kwanda Mokoena and Gerhard Tweresa, and behind them, Giuliano Holzem and Eduardo Cosseteng. On the next row, there's going to be a gap where J-Mo Hartling should have been, Jonas Greif in the number 33 car. Then it is car 19, JJ Bernhard with Pablo Schum, and at the back it is Alexander Schwarzer, but keep an eye on them. You know they will not be at the back when this race finishes. So for those of you who have remained with us for the full duration, thank you very much. Thank you for putting up with the inane babbling coming from this quarter. We hope you are going to be rewarded with some spectacular racing. The first of 2 formation laps now taking place for the ADAC GT Masters, race 5 of a 12-race season here at the Nürburgring. We are using the sprint circuit. It is 3.629 kilometers around with 11 turns, 4 to the left and 7 to the right. Fairly flat, about 7.7 meters of elevation change, which is fairly flat by the standards of some of the circuits we visit. It is between 10 and 25 meters wide. Plenty of overtaking opportunities, but especially into turn 1, where late braking is crucial at around the 100-meter board. Get the car over to the right-hand side on the exit and nail it through into turn 2. We are under the shadow of Nürburgring Castle. Of course, this circuit, which features part of the Nordschleife. Sadly, we're not using the Nordschleife this afternoon, but we are using the sprint circuit. Spectacular enough here for the ADAC GT Masters. Tim Zimmermann just leading them around, getting the heat into the tyres and into the brakes. We are on the road to DTM. Very much a series now aligned towards young drivers and ambitious amateurs. The championship, very, very exciting in the League of Super Sports Cars, the 18th season of this series. And there is the pace truck out on track, a sight that you will not see anywhere else. A truck leading around a full field of GT3 cars, a great sight. The first of the formation laps, giving the drivers the opportunity to get the heat into the tyres. Now behind the truck, they will be lapping just slightly slower, and it is during this lap that the cars will grid up side by side, and we will be ready to finally, a little bit later than scheduled, we will be ready to get this race underway. There is that turn 1, a tricky right-hand turn. It's a downhill, sharp hairpin turn. There's a change of surface. You can see that as they head into turn 2 as well. Fairly technical circuit, one that requires a lot of commitment, especially around the Vidal chicane in turns 9 and 10. Lots of curb riding as the car jumps around. It needs to be a stable setup, and getting a good exit out of the chicane and then into turn 11 is really important if you want to be able to defend and if you want to challenge. And also good exit of turn 11, the Hyundai curve. exiting at about 100 kilometers an hour onto the pit straight. And if you don't get a good exit, there's some great exercise there. I'm going to copy that one tomorrow morning. It's a great exit out of turn 11. If you don't get a good exit, it can leave you vulnerable to attack into turn 1. At the moment, the field is around at turn 8 at Van Bogen. And that's a corner that is taken pretty well flat out, accelerating up to speeds of around 240 kilometers an hour in a moment, which is towards turn 9, the Vido chicane. And there is the chicane. That's where we see cars getting airborne as they bump over the curbs, and then exiting the chicane at about 150 kilometers an hour, and then that really important run into turn 11. That's the opportunity to get a good run out in towards the first corner and the chance to overtake. So finally, the pace truck peels off into the pit lane. The cars come out of turn 11. This is the first time ever that the ADAC GT Masters has had an endurance race. We are at the Nürburgring ADAC GT Masters 2024, first endurance race. 4 red lights on, and we are ready for 4 red lights to go off, and we are go. Tim Zimmermann leading into turn 1. Dropping back a little bit, Tom Callender. It's Finn Wiebelhaus into second place, but now Callender coming back around the outside. Some of the cars going 2, 3, even 4 abreast around turn 1. There's a bit of debris flying, but they've all survived. And it is Tim Zimmermann who leads the way. But Finn Wiebelhaus, look at him. He started in 3rd place, challenging Tom Callender, the 2 drivers who fought alongside each other this time last year in Formula 4. And now Callender goes wide. Finn Wiebelhaus muscling through into that 2nd place. The Schnitzelam car of Marcel Marchevitz just behind as well. But look at this fight for 2nd place. Finally, Tom Callender going wide around turn 5 and leaving himself to drop back. And it's Finn Wiebelhaus who takes that 2nd place. Tom Callender has dropped a number of places as a result of running off the track. And it is Marcel Marchevitz who's up into 3rd place. The rest of the cars fighting for position further back. There's Kwanda Mokoena in the other of the blue Mercedes AMG. So coming round to complete the first lap, Tim Zimmermann with a good lead. Finn Wiebelhaus, he had to fight hard for that 2nd place. It's meant he's lost a bit of time. There is one of the Lamborghinis going wide across the chicane, is able to keep it all together. The rest of the cars out of turn 11. Right, along the pit straight we come. And it is Tim Zimmermann who leads the way. Finn Wiebelhaus, Marcel Marchevitz in 3rd place ahead of Salmon Ovega, Mike David Orman, Leon Curler, good start there. And then Tom Callender trying to come back, challenging into that turn 1. Gerhard Tweresa was the green Lamborghini that we saw getting it a little bit wrong at the chicane. He's able to rejoin. It doesn't look like there have been any issues. So the rest of the cars settling down. And it is Tim Zimmermann who leads the way by 1.1 seconds. Finn Wiebelhaus in that 2nd place. Marcel Marchevitz, good start there for car number 11, sharing with Julian Hanses. Then Salmon Ovega, the other of the defending champions in the ADAC GT Masters. Elias Seppänen and Salmon Ovega looking to become the first ever driver pairing to successfully defend well, it wouldn't be a pairing, but first ever driver to successfully defend a title in the ADAC GT Masters. So Gerhard Tweresa, you can see him behind Kwanda Mokoena. Right, safety car is back out. I'm not entirely sure why. So the safety car is out. Clearly there's been an issue. As far as I can see, everybody is running. So there was a gap of over a second that Tim Zimmermann had, and it's because of that debris on the track. We saw a bit of debris flying into turn 1. So good job there from our race stewards who want to get rid of the debris. We don't want anything that could cause a puncture, could cause more drama. So safety car is out. Don't know what part of a car that is. This is where I needed Adam Weller. He'd be able to tell me what car it was, what model it was, and what year it was built. But sadly, not in this instance. The debris is removed from the track. Safety car will be in on this lap, so a very brief safety car stint. Full course yellow would not have been appropriate to get a marshal out on the track with the race effectively still underway. Looking again at the start, and it was a great start from Tim Zimmermann. Tom Callender on the outside into turn 1 alongside Finn Wiebelhaus. Also in there, Salmano Vega, but Marcel Marchevitz in the yellow and black Mercedes, really keeping it together. Gerhard Tweresa. So this is where Tweresa went over the chicane. I think it was the previous incident where we saw the debris that ended up on the racing line. So lights are off on the safety car. We're up at turn 8. And the safety car will very shortly disappear into the distance, and it will be Tim Zimmermann who will become the de facto safety car. He will back the pack up, and he will want to catch Finn Wiebelhaus snoozing. He'll want to be accelerating at about the moment that Finn Wiebelhaus is lifting off, and hopefully he can then open up a gap and continue to extend his lead. But Finn Wiebelhaus, one of the real up-and-coming superstars in GT3 racing, really turned a lot of heads during the GT Winter Series. There in the background, loitering, and behind him, Marcel Marchevitz looking for his first ever win in ADAC GT Masters. We're back under green flag conditions. Out onto the pit straight we come into turn 1. There's Mike David Ortman taking a very tight line. Leon Curler just behind him. 4th place, Salmano Vega taking a little look. Leon Curler challenging hard. Tom Callender to the outside into turn 1. He keeps it all on the track this time around. Can't make up any positions. Very much as you were around turn 1 and into turn 2. Tim Zimmermann reopening up a gap, but not as big as it was when the safety car came out. Now it looks like Marcel Marchevitz has found a route towards Finn Wiebelhaus, but not past yet. Salmano Vega in that 4th place. Then Mike David Ortman, Leon Curler running together in 5th and 6th place. So Mike David Ortman in front of Leon Curler, then Tom Callender, then Jean-Luc D'Auria, Johannes Kapfinger, Nico Hanke, the driver who's enjoying his home race. Nico Hanke really excited about performing in front of his home fan there. Quando Mokoena looking to be a little bit under pressure from Gerhard Tweresa. Quando, who was very frustrated with his qualifying this morning, felt as though he could have done better, made a few mistakes, but it's all part of that steep learning curve. And still making a good account of himself in the ADAC GT Masters. So we have 67.5 minutes of this race that are remaining. And we will have 2 pit windows that will open. The first pit window will open at 15:51. So that will be in about 9 minutes. That is going to remain open for 10 minutes. And that's where the strategy will play out. So will the team decide to bring the car in early in the window or late in the window, depending on where they are in the traffic, I would expect? Will they decide to do their long stop or their short stop? To remind you, the short stop is just a normal stop and driver change. The long stop will be a driver change and a refueling and a tyre change for the car. There are minimum pit stop times. And the silver-silver combinations will have pit stop times, minimum times of 80 seconds for their short stop, as Gerhard Tweresa has a little look to the inside of Quando Mokoena. That is for 11th place, but still Mokoena has him covered off. So 80 seconds and 100 seconds are the 2 pit stop times for the silver-silver drivers, and 70 seconds and 90 seconds are the 2 pit stop times. And that was Gerhard Tweresa going straight on at the chicane. He will have to give that place back because he's gained an advantage. He does exactly that. Very wise indeed. He went straight on at the Vidal chicane, just out braking himself. And Quando Mokoena was able to just cut sailing through as he retook that position. If he hadn't given that position back, then the stewards would no doubt have got involved. Into turn 1 though, having a little look to the inside. To remind you, a number of these cars carrying success ballast, and it is the BMW, the number 54 BMW of Leon Köhler, that has an extra 20 kilos on for this race, and that will be affecting them. They didn't have it for qualifying this morning, but they do have it for the race. Juan de Mocoena in 11th place, Gerhard Tweresa in that 12th place. The number 17 car, one of the Pro-Am pairings here, one of 3 Pro-Am pairings in this race, challenging for position. It is silver driver versus silver driver at the moment, and the team will want Gerhard Tweresa to make as much progress as he possibly can before handing over to Coach McCancy, his co-driver, who is a bronze-rated driver. Just in the background, Eduardo Cosseteng in another of the BMW's, car number 10. Here comes our race leader, Tim Zimmerman, and the near on 1.5 second gap that he had before the safety car will feel like a dim and distant memory at the moment, because last time across the line it was just over half a second, the gap between first and second. He's opened it up to 7/10, so he is getting it back a little bit now. Finn Wiebelhaus still there in second. Solid drive from him. Marcel Marchevitz in 3rd place. Salman Vega in 4th. And then Mike David Ortmann ahead of Leon Köhler, Tom Callender and Jean-Luc de Oria. And then Johannes Kapfinger, Nico Hanske, Juan de Mocoena, Gerhard Tweresa. Those 2 cars there fighting over 11th place. Then behind them, Eduardo Cosseteng. There is Juliana Holzem, Jonas Greif, JJ Bernhardt in 16th, and then Alexander Schwarzer ahead of Pablo Schum. The only car that didn't make the start was Jamo Hartling as a result of that moment at the start of the first formation lap, when he lit up the tyres and ended up headfirst in the barriers. And hopefully the number 12 car will be back out again for race 2 tomorrow, which will be a shorter race, the shortest race ever in GT Masters. It will be a 40-minute sprint. This race, well, the 80 minutes, we are about 2 minutes away from it being 60 minutes, and that will be the length of a normal GT Masters race, but there will be that additional pit stop that must be taken. The pit stops are mandatory. Every car will need to come in twice for a mandatory stop and a driver change. Still, Gerhard Tweresa just looking to the inside of 11th place Juan de Mocoena into turn 1. He sees a gap. Juan de Mocoena looks to have it covered up, but he goes deep into turn 1. Tweresa can't quite slow it down, move to the inside now, deep into turn 2. Goes Juan de Mocoena, still holding on to that position around turn 3 and into turn 4. And then a little bit of a squirt on the power up to turn 5, a second gear corner. Out of that, it'll be out towards turns 6 and 7, and then a really fast section of track as they head towards the Vidal chicane again. Tweresa seeing a gap on the inside. He switches back behind car number 5, still not finding the route through. So still as you were, but how much longer can Juan de Mocoena, the very popular driver from South Africa, how long can he hold on to that position? It is 11th place he's fighting for at the moment. A lot of the drivers pacing themselves here. They know they've got to do another stint towards the end of this race. Now peeling off into the pits, that's Salman Ovega, because the pit window has just opened. So literally, as the pit window opens, Salman Vega peeling off into the pit window. Also in there, Juan de Mocoena handing over to Max Rice. So 2 cars into the pits. There's another one coming in. Now we need to see how long their pit stops are going to be. Is it going to be a short stop? Is it going to be a long stop? The answer is it's going to be a long stop for car number 2. So you can see the refueling going in, just one person able to refuel in the 26-litre canister. Also car number 5 going for the long stop. Plenty of time for the outgoing driver. So the tyre changes cannot start until the fuel canister is back behind the white line. Also car 4 into the pits, taking the long stop as well. So we've got several cars in for their long stops at the moment. That is Schwarzer getting out, and it will be Alex Fack, the other half of Team Alex, who jumps on board. The engine fires up. So minimum pit stop time, remember, for the silver-silver combinations is 100 seconds. Out of the pits they come. Again, very limited on what is allowed in terms of tyre changes. It's not a performance stop. So Vega is out and handing over to David Schumacher in car number 2. That'll be Alex Fack. Here comes our race leader, Tim Zimmermann. Behind him is Finn Wiebelhaus and also Marcel Marchevitz. They have not stopped. Neither has Mike David Ortmann. Neither has Leon Köhler. So Tom Callender handing over to Salmon, handing over to Elias Seppänen. So Callender out, Seppänen can take his time here. So a lot of the teams, all that I've seen so far, opting to take their long pit stop first and making their second stop the shorter one. Again, the fuel is going in. It has to be a gravity-fed fuel. Now the tyre change can happen. There is car 19 going in. That is JJ Bernhardt. Handing over to Matteo Lorena. Great to have Lorena here. And again, the tyre change is taking place. So also in has been car 33. So Jonas Grives has handed over to Simon Connor Prim. The team getting to work. Just one wrench being used. And now the hard work is done by the team on this stop. Now waiting for the clock to tick down. It starts at the pit entry and it finishes at the pit exit line. And he must not reach the pit exit line before the clock strikes 0, otherwise there will be a penalty incoming. So the car's firing up into life. So the leading cars of Zimmermann, Wiebelhaus, Marcevic, Ortmann, Köhler, De Oria and Kampfinger all out on track. Nico Hansker in 8th, Gerhard Tueracer in 9th, Eduardo Cosseteng, then Juliana Holzem, and then the first of the stoppers. And as far as I can see, every pairing that has stopped has chosen to do their long stop first. So the next time they come in, it will be a shorter stop. I'm looking at the pit times, and so far, everybody has gone for a longer pit stop that I can see. JJ Bernhardt has handed over to Matteo Lorena. Pit stop time was 88 seconds. So, unless there was an issue, there comes Finn Wiebelhaus from 2nd place, car number 3. Going to be handing over to Janis Fitcher. So into the pits comes Finn Wiebelhaus. Now, will any of the teams decide to take the short stop first and gain track position and take the pain later on in the race? Well, we're going to find out. So Marcel Marchevitz up into 2nd place. Still Tim Zimmermann leading the way. 1.6 seconds is the gap between 1st and 2nd as a result of that. Right, the fuel's going in. So another team opting to take the long stop now. Finn Wiebelhaus handing over. Oh, we got a fire in the pits. We've got a problem. So the ADAC have very much asked that extinguishers are on standby, so that will be attended to very, very quickly. But our 2nd place car, a bit of a fire in the pits. Hopefully everybody's all right there. But that will almost certainly take car number 3 out of the race. So we had the refueling. It's a gravity-fed refueling. The marshals are attending car number 3. It was Finn Wiebelhaus who got out, Janis Fitcher who got in. Also, the Kampfinger car into the pits. But pleased to see that fire was out fairly quickly. Certainly a concerning moment and always an issue when you're refueling cars. Now, I wonder if we might get a safety car. We can see a fire truck in the pit lane at the moment. There is car 91. I didn't see whether they had stopped for tyres and fuel or not. They rejoin out onto the track. So the race leader is Tim Zimmermann. Marcel Marchewitz up into second place. Mike David Ortmann. Car number 3 still in the pits, and with a fire, I'm thinking that that car will not be able to rejoin. Out onto the track comes Mikael Kapfinger, who's taken over from Johannes. Another car into the pits at the moment is Juliana Holzem, handing over to his brother, Sandra Holzem. Tim Zimmermann leading the way, 1.7 seconds from Marcel Marchewitz. Mike David Ortmann up into third place, Leon Köhler into 4th, and Jean-Luc Deoria in 5th place. Nico Handke in 6th, Gerhard Tweresa in 7th. That was Elias Seppänen getting past just while car 91 is getting heat into the tyres. So far, everybody who's been in has chosen to make it their long stop. Right, here comes Marcel Marchewitz in car number 11. He will be handing over to Julian Hanses. So into the pit lane he comes. The clock starts ticking. Yellow flags are waving in the pits just to indicate that there is a fire team in the pit lane just attending to cars, and the drivers would have been warned about this on the radio as well, but clearly they're able to just weave their way through, and the fire crew just making sure that the fire is out on that number 3 car. HRT team, they did a good job just getting the fire out as quickly as possible, and certainly our best wishes with that team as Marcel Marchewitz jumps from the car. The fueling takes place. So, just refueling on that car. They haven't taken a tyre change on this stop. So car 11, no tyre changes at this point. So just pressures taking. Julian Hanses behind the wheel. So this will be a short stop for car number 11. We don't have any information as to what they've chosen in terms of longer or short time, so we can only tell by what the pit stop time is. So far, it looks like most of the drivers have chosen, or most of the teams have chosen to take the long stop first. Right, into the pits comes Tim Zimmermann, car number 63, getting ready to hand over to Benjamin Heites. Once again, the yellow flag just waving in the pit lane to warn the driver as he heads to the GRT Grasser Racing pit. But there are marshals out on the track. Also, Mike David Ortmann into the pits. Leon Köhler heading in as well. The pit window about to close. So Ortmann and Köhler into the pits. We'll see how this all shakes out once the pit stop has been done. So our race leader into the pits he comes. So the fueling goes on first. So are they going to do a tyre change? It doesn't look like it for car 63. Gerhard Tweresa in as well, handing over to Coach McCancy. There in the background, Leon Köhler handing over to Max Osten. So the refueling taking place, but not tyre changes for any of these cars at the moment. Those that have gone longer into the pit window, looking to save their longer stop till later on in the race during the second pit window. There is Tim Zimmermann's car now, with Benjamin Heites at the wheel, the team that have had a second place last time out at Zandvoort, getting ready, and away they go. The minimum pit stop time kicking in once again. They want to hit the line before, not before, after the clock strikes 0, out they come to rejoin. So it'll be everybody who has done a pit stop. I'm looking at the pit stop times, and hopefully we'll get an indication in a moment who are going to have to take the longer time the next time around. There is car number 2, and that has David Schumacher at the wheel, still behind the 63 car, Benjamin Heites. So Benjamin Heites, who will become the leader of this race with car number 2 behind. We'll wait for them to cross the start-finish line before we get the actual order. There is car 14, Jean-Luc Deoria in Alan Valente will be taking over the wheel of that. Car 14 is under investigation for the pit stop. You can see the tyres are being changed, but clearly the stewards think there may have been some kind of infringement. So car 14 is under investigation. Car 17 has had a black and white flag for track limits, but car 14 under investigation for the pit stop. Now, it may have been that the crew were a little bit eager out into the pit lane before the refueling rig had been removed, but we'll find out. We'll let you know if there's any penalty incoming. At the moment, it's Benjamin Heites who is our race leader. They're going to cross the line now. It will be car 63 who takes the lead of the race, having taken over from Tim Zimmerman. Now, Jean-Luc Deoria has still been listed in the lead in the pits, and I'm wondering whether he actually missed the pit window. Of course, the timings have all changed. It's hard to say because the pit window had shifted at the start of this race. But Benjamin Heites has David Schumacher looking for his first ever win in ADAC GT Masters, challenging him. This will be for the lead of the race. In third place, it's going to be Julian Hanses, also there in the background. This is the 1-2-3, but we're under full course yellow. So the full course yellow has come out. The cars are required to reduce their speed to 80 kilometers an hour. There is your 1, 2, 3 after the pit stop sequence. The reason being is there's more debris out on track, so don't know which car that's off, but our hard-working staff retrieving that. You get the feeling we're going to be back under green flag before too long. But with 49 minutes remaining of this race, suddenly it's looking very much alive. Benjamin Heites leading the way from David Schumacher and Julian Hanses in third place. There's your 1, 2, 3. Alan Valente is being listed as the leader on the timing screen, but I have a feeling they may have missed the pit window. So I believe this is for the lead of the race. Car 63, Benjamin Heites with David Schumacher behind him. So car 14 still being shown as the leader on the timing screens, but under investigation. So I believe this is the net race lead that we are looking at here. Benjamin Heites, David Schumacher, first and second. Keep an eye on Julian Hanses in his first ever drive in GT Masters. He is very rapid in the position, listed as fourth, but I think third place just behind them. And across the start-finish line, they will come once again. So the drivers will have a countdown on their dashboard when it's time for them. Right now, the timing screens have corrected, and it is Benjamin Heites can confirm who is leading. David Schumacher in second, Julian Hanses in third. Good stop from Chandler Holm. Of course, he had 10 seconds less in the pits, but up into fourth place ahead of Denis Bulatov and Alex Fack in sixth place. So I told you the Pro-Am drivers would gain as this race went on. That's exactly what's happened. Now, Benjamin Heites back to green flag. David Schumacher looking to the outside on turn 2. Is he going to go the long way around? Car 63, Benjamin Heites trying to protect that position. David Schumacher to the outside, switches back to the inside around turns 3 and 4. Still, Benjamin Heites leading the way in this, the ADAC GT Masters, first and second, challenging. David Schumacher has a little look to the outside, looking to have more pace than the other cars around him. Now, I don't think they've taken new tyres onto that car, so these cars may well, Heites and Schumacher, may well have a longer pit stop next time around. Julian Hanses also may need to take tyres on the next pit stop. It is Benjamin Heites who leads the way. David Schumacher, though, challenging hard in that second place. We have 46 minutes remaining. So there is still another pit stop that will need to come, but at the moment, look how hard Heites taking the curb as much as he dare in the Lamborghini. It's into turn 11 he comes. This is where he's going to be vulnerable, but Schumacher maybe just a little bit too far back out onto the pit straight. Will he pick up a slipstream as they head along past the pits? Looks to me as though Schumacher may be just a little bit too far back. Car 19 under investigation for speeding under a full course yellow. Into turn 1 we come. It's still Benjamin Heites. David Schumacher taking a tighter line into turn 1. Can he get it slowed down? Yes, he can. It's David Schumacher, our new race leader. Benjamin Heites, who took over from Tim Zimmerman, down into second place. But keep an eye on Julian Hanses, a very rapid driver. He is just 2.2 seconds behind. He would love to score a podium on his first ever race in the ADAC GT Masters. He has the skill to do that. Now, where will it be? First, second, or third? The yellow and black car in third place, homing in on Benjamin Heites in that second place. But David Schumacher now breaking clear, looking at the pit stop times. And I believe that Heites, Schumacher, Hanses and Fak, certainly maybe not Fak, but the first three will need to do a tyre change. So it will be a longer stop in their second pit window. There's a replay into turn 1. And Benjamin Heites just going deep into the corner, maybe missing his braking point a little. David Schumacher, the driver that we saw in DTM this time last year, looking to take his first ever win in ADAC GT Masters, now breaking clear of that second place. The leading Pro-Am driver, Alex Fak, in fourth place, ahead of Dennis Bulatov, who's taken over from Mike David Ortman. And then Chandler Hull rounding out the top 6. He's currently just been overtaken by Max Rice, the blue car there, the Mercedes that you've seen just coming through your picture. Max Rice, one of the real talented drivers, along with Finn Wiebelhaus and Tom Callender. They are the 3 drivers that this time last year were in Formula 4. And Max Rice, who has brought a coach load of people with him to support him here at one of his home races. An awful lot of very loud people in the Max Rice fan club here cheering on car number 5. But bad news for car 14, a stop and go penalty of 40 seconds for missing the pit window for the pit stop issue. So car 14, Alan Valente in 8th place, a 40-second pit stop. That is going to drop him down to something like 17th place. So that is bad news for car 14. And he'll probably serve that as that Bollard takes a battering. There is another change for position. That is the aforementioned car 14 moving to the inside of Chandler Hull to Alan Valente. But that stop and go penalty is really gonna hurt. Car 19, as already mentioned, under investigation, Matteo Lorena. That into the pit lane comes car 14, so taking the stop and go now, not during the pit window. So car 14 into the pits, keeping to the speed limit. That 40-second stop and go is gonna feel painful. What's also going to feel painful is Benjamin Heites, who's under pressure. We said, keep an eye on Julian Hanses. He is a talented driver. He knows how to hustle one of these cars, and he's doing exactly that as he moves to the inside of Benjamin Heites. Around turns 3 and 4, they come under pressure for second place. Benjamin Heites holding on for all his work, but Alex Fak also there, another of the very rapid drivers that we saw in Porsche Carrera Cup Germany. 2 Porsche Carrera Cup Germany drivers, former drivers from that series, running together in 3rd and 4th place. And Benjamin Heites feeling the full weight of this pressure, holding on to that second place at the moment. Car 19, a penalty lap 3 times for speeding under the full course yellow. There is a box that is painted on the exit of turn 1. And car 19, with Matteo Lorena at the wheel, will have to pass through it at no more than 50 kilometers an hour. It's a 50-meter box off the racing line. He's going to have to do that 3 times. That will be the equivalent to adding about 15 seconds onto his lap time. So disaster for Matteo Lorena, currently in 11th place. There's your race leader, David Schumacher. But this is the fight for second place. You have Benjamin Heites, Julian Hanses and Alex Fak all running absolutely nose to tail. 2nd, 3rd, 4th into turn 1. Julian Hanses taking a tighter line into turn 1. Out around turn 2. Alex Fak there as well, just waiting He got a second place last time out with Alexander Schwarzer, his co-driver, and he loves the taste of standing on the podium. We've seen him winning in Porsche Mobil 1 Super Cup. We've seen Julian Hanses also scoring so well in Porsche 6 Carrera Cup Germany, now moving on to other things, driving the Mercedes, but with a Porsche filling his rear-view mirror. As long as Julian Hanses is having to defend from Alex Fack, it's allowing Benjamin Heites just to stretch his legs a little bit at the front, because if Hanses makes a move on that second place and it doesn't stick, he will be vulnerable to Alex Fack, who is there waiting, ready to pounce. In the background, Denis Bulatov in 5th place. Now he's about 2.6 seconds back from this battle that we're seeing. So, out of turn 11 we come once again. There is 40.5 minutes plus 1 lap remaining of this race. There is 2nd, 3rd and 4th. Our race leader has broken clear. So it is still David Schumacher leading the way. Benjamin Heites in 2nd place under increasing pressure from Julian Hanses. Alex Fack there as well. Denis Bulatov about 2.3 seconds back into turn 1. Still, Benjamin Heites holding off despite immense pressure from Julian Hanses. Alex Fack has dropped back a little at the moment. To remind you, there is a second pit stop that will need to take place, and by my reckoning, the first 3 cars will need to take the longer pit stop for the tyre change as well. There is 2nd, 3rd and 4th. David Schumacher still clear by 5.182 seconds. He is absolutely running away at the front. Heites under the pressure, just holding on. He took the car out from our pole sitter, Tim Zimmerman. In 3rd place, Julian Hanses took over from Marcel Marchevitz. In 4th place, it's Alex Fack, took over from Alexander Schwartzman. Team Alex holding on to that 4th place at the moment, but remember, in the next pit stop, they will be stationary for 10 seconds less than the cars around them on account of the fact they are a Pro-Am pairing, and it will be Alex Schwartzman who will take over that car for the 3rd stint of this race. Out of turn 11 we come, out along the pit straight. There's our race leader, continuing to stretch his legs at the front. It is 5.782 seconds between 1st and 2nd, but there is nothing between 2nd, 3rd and 4th. Benjamin Heites, he's got one eye in front, he's got another eye on his mirrors. Further back, the 33 car, Simon Connor Prim, he's taken over from Jonas Greif. Prim in 12th place with Sandro Holzem, who's taken over from his brother Giuliano. So this is the fight for 12th place. Mikael Kapfinger has moved up to 10th. He's got past coach McCancy. McCancy also falling victim to Sandra Holzem. And Simon Connor Prim out into turn 1 we come once again. Connor Prim with Holzem behind him challenging for position. And that is for 11th place. Points being paid down into 15th place. Car number 8 under investigation for speeding under a full course yellow. That'll be Jonas Karklis, who's taken over from Pablo Schum in the Liquimoli Team Exla Audi. And there's another Audi there, and it is the leading Audi with Sandra Holzem at the wheel, challenging hard with Simon Connor Prim, because Connor Prim found the route past into 11th place. Holzem down into 12th. Car 8, another driver receiving a 3 times trip to the penalty box for speeding under a full course yellow. So that will be Jonas Karklis, the driver that was so successful in ADAC TCR Germany just a couple of years ago. We saw him moving up to GT Masters, an altogether different discipline, and he will have to visit the penalty box 3 times. That will be the equivalent of adding about 15 seconds onto his lap time. Benjamin Heites in 2nd place. Julian Hanses behind him, but their 2nd stop may well be longer, as may be the case for David Schumacher leading the way. David Schumacher, the race leader, by some 6.6 seconds, trying to make as big a gap as possible. Benjamin Heites holding on to that second place. Julian Hanses putting all of his experience to good use, but unable to get past Alex Fack. In fourth place, the leading Pro-Am driver. Second in the Pro-Ams is Chandler Hull. In seventh place and third in the Pro-Ams, Coach McCancy, fulfilling a dream of racing in the GT Masters. Currently in 14th place because he has been passed by Gregory de Cyborg, car number 10, who took over from Eduardo Cosseteng for FK Performance, the grandson of two-times Formula 1 winner Joe Siffert is Gregory de Cyborg. Currently in that 13th place, very much using this year to gain experience in GT Masters. Julian Hanses taking a tighter line into turn one, monstering Benjamin Heites. They've broken clear of Alex Fack for the moment. 35.5 minutes remaining. Still another pit stop to come for these cars. Alex Fack just waiting there in the background, but suddenly Julian Hanses, with a bit of space behind him, is able to mount a challenge on Benjamin Heites for that second place. Has a little look to the inside, to the outside. There's some trucks in the paddock. There's the sky. Lots of action going on here. We are part of the European Truck Grand Prix here at the Nürburgring. We are enjoying race 5 of the season for the ADAC GT Masters. Another race tomorrow of 40 minutes. This race, the first ever endurance race. And it is the first of 2 endurance races. Right, car 17 under investigation for speeding under a full course yellow. So that is Coach McCancy, also under investigation for speeding under a full course yellow. Gerhard Theresa, who started off with the wheel of that car. Our race leader, David Schumacher, 8.6 seconds ahead of Benjamin Heites. Julian Hanses in second place, just 2 tenths behind. And then Alex Faff in 4th place. Then is Dennis Bulatov in 5th ahead of Max Rice. Elias Seppänen up into 7th place. In 8th place is Chandler Hull, ahead of Max Osten in 9th and Michael Kapfinger. Simon Conoprim in 11th place, ahead of Sandro Holzem. Gregory de Cyborg in 13th place. Matteo Lorena in 14th. Coach McCancy in 15th, ahead of Jonas Karklees, Alan Valente. Finn Wiebelhaus has retired, as has the number 12 car of JMO Hartling. Out towards turn 10, our race leader comes once again. David Schumacher continuing to stretch his legs. So, car 35, a penalty lap, 1 time for cutting turn 9 with an advantage. That is Chandler Hull, who will have to visit the penalty box. A real shame, currently in 8th place. He's been overtaken by Elias Seppänen, with Max Osten just behind by about 4.8 seconds. David Schumacher, 9 seconds clear at the front of Benjamin Heites. Julian Hanses in 3rd place. Alex Fack, our leading Pro-Am driver. So 32 minutes remaining of this race. We've still got another pit stop to come. Apologies, we've got no pictures in commentary at the moment, so just bringing you as much information as we can. And it is the 1, 2, 3, 4, I think the first 6 cars who have done, we have pictures again now, 31 31.5 minutes remaining of the race. And our race leader is David Schumacher, 8.9 seconds to the good. Now, you can see the green graphic indicating that Alex Fack is in the Pro-Am category. Chandler Hull is also in the Pro-Am category, and Coach McCancy. So there's your 1, 2, 3 that are in the Pro-Am category. Out of turn 11, we are witnessing the battle between Simon Conner-Prim and Sandro Holzem. Out onto the pit straight we come. The fastest lap of the race is still Tim Zimmerman, and that was on lap 7 at 1:26.486. The clouds are coming in a little now. We're not expecting any rain into turn 1. Simon Conner-Prim still holding on to the 11th place. Up ahead of him is Mikael Kapfinger. David Schumacher continues to stretch his legs at the front. 9 seconds to the good of Benjamin Heites. Julian Hanses in 3rd place, about 4/10 back. Is there anything else that he can do? Remember, we have another pit window that will be opening shortly. Every car will need to come in for a second mandatory stop and driver change. Those who did not take on new tyres and fuel in the previous stop will need to do so in this second stop. Those who took on tyres in the previous stop will not have to. Therefore, their pit stop window will be 10 seconds shorter than the previous one. So this is not all over yet. David Schumacher, who I believe needs to have the longer pit stop, currently leading the way. If he can stretch it out by another second, then the disadvantage of the longer pit stop will be eliminated on account of the fact he has that 10-second lead. Right, out across the line we come once again. That is Max Osten, who crosses the line in 8th place behind Chandler Hull in the Pro-Am standings in 9th. Behind him, Mikael Kapfinger in 10th place. Then back to Simon Conner-Prim. Chandler Hull leaving a big gap on the inside. Not really the battle that he is in today. And Mikael Kapfinger going through. There is car 35 passing through the penalty box. I don't think that was intended on that particular lap, but just regaining the speed, getting a bit of experience into the penalty box. So that notification, it was through the penalty box at car 35. That was for gaining advantage on turn 9, but that was a while ago that was awarded. But finally, he takes that. David Schumacher leading the way. A little under 29 minutes remaining of this race. Out along the pit straight, once again comes our race leader. What is the gap? Back to Benjamin Heites. He continues to push it. Has he made it up that 10 seconds, which will effectively neutralise the extra 10 seconds in the stop? 9.2 seconds. Of course, Heites will also have that longer stop as well. Julian Hanses in 3rd place. Not able to do anything at the moment to challenge car 63. In the background, Alex Fack. There's Simon Conner-Prim moving to the inside of Chandler Hull. That is for 10th place. Following through in the background, Sandro Holzem also trying to regain that position from Simon Conner-Prim. In the background, you saw Gregory de Sidewall side by side in towards turn 1. And you get the feeling that Hull's not going to put up too much of a battle in this instance. Holzem is able to sail through, still that position away. Max Osten in 8th place. The only other drivers, apart from Elias Seppänen and Tom Callender, Leon Köhler, Max Osten are the only other drivers to have won this season. At the moment, David Schumacher and Samuel Vega looking good for their first ever win. Wouldn't be the first ever win for a Vega, but for David Schumacher, his first ever win in GT Masters. But there is still 27 minutes and 20 seconds, plus 1 lap, plus another pit stop to go for these cars. We've lost 2 cars, Finn Wiebelhaus and J-Mo Hartling. So 17 cars still out on track. There is Simon Conner-Prim in 10th place. Sandro Holzem just a big bat from him. David Schumacher, 9.7 seconds clear of Benjamin Heites. Julian Hanses about half a second back from them. Then Alex Fack, the leading Pro-Am driver, looking to gain an advantage through the next pit stop. Car 8 is under investigation for crossing a white line at pit entry. So for Jonas Karklees, it goes from bad to worse. Car 17 Coach McCancy with Alan Valente for company. McCancy not able to put up a fight. The Ferrari finding a route past, that is into 16th place. So McCancy up to 16th in the one and only Ferrari. Being run here by Emil Fry Racing. Of course, many of the teams here in GT Masters also have cars in a DTM. This is the road to DTM, the winner of the DTM Championship. The Road to DTM Championship getting funding for a seat in DTM next year. And many of the drivers, many of the teams with cars in DTM picking up valuable data here that they can transfer across to their DTM teams for when we race here at the Nürburgring in August. Across the line comes David Schumacher, 9.822 clear of Benjamin Heites. And that has now increased to 10.013, so over 10 seconds clear of Benjamin Heites. Pit window will be opening. It would normally have been in the 55th to the 65th minute, but with the delayed start and the additional formation laps, that is put back by a few minutes and will be opening shortly. And it will be the time for every car to come in, and the drivers who were in for the first stint will be back in for stint number 3. And those that did not change tyres will need to change tyres. Right, Julian Hanses closing back in on Benjamin Heites, challenging for that second place, very much as you were at the moment. Still plenty to happen here, 24.5 minutes remaining, plus 1 lap of this race. It is race 5 of a 12-race season for the ADAC GT Masters. It was Tim Zimmerman who led from pole position. He's handed over to Benjamin Heites, and Heites, who has now been passed by David Schumacher, who took over from Salman Ovega and leads the way. Julian Hanses in car 11, who took over from Marcel Marcevic, started this race in 5th place. Great progress up to 3rd place. And behind them, from the back of the grid, the very back of the grid, Alex Fack, who took over from Alexander Schwarzer in the Fack Autotech Porsche. So the rumble of the engines around the Nürburgring. Benjamin Heites in that 2nd place, continuing to hold on despite immense pressure from Julian Hanses. Remember, the Max Osten car is carrying the success ballast of 20 kilos, and that may well be affecting him as Gregory de Cyborg finds a route to the inside of the Aston Martin of Chandler Hull, and that moves him up to 12th place. So Chandler Hull shares with the local driver Nico Handke, dropping down into 13th place. So the fighting continuing, less than 23 minutes remaining, and the pit window is about to open for the final time in this race. David Schumacher will need to come in and hand the car back to Salman Ovega, and Benjamin Heites will hand the car back to the pole sitter, Tim Zimmerman. Julian Hanses, in his first ever GT Masters race, doing a great job in 3rd place. We'll hand the car back to Marcel Marcevic. So the pit window is due to open in about, I think, about 30 seconds from now. And it'll be open for 10 minutes as they cross the line once again. There's the 2nd place battle. Now, Alex Fack will come in. He will hand the car over to Alexander Schwartzman, but he will be stationary for 10 seconds less than those cars around him. So, has the potential to make up some places. Right, pit window is open. Who is going to blink first? Schumacher out on track. Get the feeling they might want to keep him out for as long as possible, maximise his stint at the front while he has an open track in front of him. because he has no back markers in front of him at the moment. There is Simon Conner-Prim, car 33. Still holding on to that 10th place. Sandra Holzem, who has been monstering him for some time now. Right, into the pits comes Elias Seppänen. So an early stop for car number 1 into the pits. It'll be Tom Callender, who will be standing by, ready to take over. Also, Coach McCancy, and heading back to Gerhard Tweresa. And also into the pits, Benjamin Haiti. So pulling the pin nice and early. Car number 63, GRT Grasser. Want to get Zimmerman back into the seat of that car. Once again, the fuel goes into the car. It's Callender who will jump back in, taking back over from Elias Seppänen. The two drivers who currently lead the championship. There's car 17, Gerhard Tweresa, who will get back in, taking over from Coach McCancy. So, Schumacher still out on track, Hanses still in second, Fack is up to third on account of Haiti's coming in and handing over to Zimmerman. Tyre pressures are taken and checked. Limit to how many people may work on the car at any one time. So the Landgraf Motorsport crew waiting now for the clock to tick down. Out comes car number 1, Tom Callender at the wheel. The final stop of the day done for that car. Keeping to the speed limit. As soon as he hits the pit lane exit, it'll be time to hit the accelerator. And away he goes, out onto the track. Also rejoining is Tim Zimmerman and Gerhard Tweresa as well. In the background, you saw Chandler Hull handing over to Nico Hanska. So their final pit stops are all done. Car 14, first pit stop, which was Jean-Luc D'Auria handing over to Alan Valente, has been reported to the stewards. And we saw some issues there, which resulted in that stop-and-go penalty and has relegated them to near on the back of the pack. Everybody else staying out at the moment. 7 minutes of the pit window remaining. David Schumacher, 11.4 seconds clear of Julian Hanses in second place. Alex Fack just 1.15 behind Hanses. The two drivers who came through Porsche 6 Carrera Cup Germany are ahead of Dennis Bulatov, last year's GT4 second place in the GT4 Championship. Right into the pits, David Schumacher. Salman Ovega will be standing by, ready to take over, keeping to the pit limit. Out into the pit lane we come. The HRT team, the Haupt Racing team on standby. Of course, one of their cars that went in that fire early on. Now to the pit stop we come. Fuel back in. Out of the car gets David Schumacher. Changing this seat insert. Every driver has a different build. Once out of the car, David Schumacher will help Salman Ovega to get strapped in to the seat of that Mercedes AMG. Also in, Max Rice, who will be handing back over to Kwanda Mokoena for Haupt Racing. So the fuel going in, right, tyres now changing for the car that was in the race lead. At the moment, Alex Fack takes the lead of the race, but remember, he's going to have to come in. Get the feeling he might leave it till quite late in the pit window to try and stretch the advantage as much as possible at the front before coming in. Bulatov up into second. He will need to come in and hand over to Mike David Ortman. And Max Osten in third place, but he will need to come back in and hand over to Leon Köhler. The engine's running. Back out into the pit lane. So Salman Ovega now at the wheel of car number 2. Where will he rejoin? He sees Tom Callender, who's currently in 14th place. He's gonna be behind Tom Callender. Out onto the track they come. So Callender, who has had his final stop, is going to be ahead of car number 2. Also through is Alex Fack, who still leads the way, but he still needs to pit. So the car number 2 that gained in the first pit stop as a result of that shorter pit stop now been overtaken by car number 1. The car that has Tom Callender at the wheel will be in front of Salmon Vega. So the pit window open for another 4 minutes. The different length pit stops now starting to shake out. Remember, the pit stop where the tyres are changed needs to be longer, and the pit stop where there is no tyre change is shorter. So there is Tom Callender, took over from Elias Seppänen, the driver pairing that lead the championship. Still out on track at the moment, Alexander Fack and Dennis Bulatov. There's the first and the second. Max Osten into the pits, as is Mikael Kampfinger. So they were 3rd and 4th, but they're in for their final pit stop of the day. 3.5 minutes remaining of this pit window. 15 minutes and 20 seconds plus 1 lap remaining of this race. Car 11, Marcel Marchevitz, he's taken over from Julian Hanses. Under pressure in the background, car 63. So this is for position. Tim Zimmerman, Marcel Marchevitz, they started close to each other at the start of the race. But if you remember, it was Zimmerman who started on pole position, now challenging into turn 1. On the outside, Zimmerman's going to struggle to get it slowed down to go round the long way, tries to cut back to the inside. Marcel Marchevitz has that covered off, but in front of them is Salmon Vega and Tom Callender. So what was a battle for the lead now looking like a battle for what will be 4th place. We've still got, though, Alex Fack to hand over to Alexander Schwarzer. He's going to feed back some way into this battle as well. So with the pit window, 2 minutes and 20 seconds remaining, it's all still to play for. The net leader at the end of all of this, looking like Tom Callender. Alan Valente still to come in for his final stop. Tom Callender currently in 6th place. Behind them, Salmon Vega, then Leon Köhler. Alex Fack still leading the way, still yet to make his stop. Dennis Bulatov in 2nd place, still yet to make his stop. Simon Conner-Prim now into the pits, as is Matteo Lorena and Alan Valente. They've peeled off into the pits. Still about 90, just over 90 seconds remaining of this pit window. And then the drivers who have yet to take a shorter pit stop will rejoin. There is Marcel Marchevitz holding on to position. Out of the pits comes car 34. This is hard work keeping on tabs of this one, isn't it? Dennis Bulatov, who isn't out of the pits, he's yet to pit. Just getting past the 91 car with Johannes Kampfinger at the wheel. So Kampfinger in 6th place at the moment. One of the Kampfinger twins. Bulatov in 2nd place, yet to go in for his final pit stop. The first of the pit stoppers is Tom Callender in 3rd place. Salmon Vega in 4th place. Leon Köhler looks to have come out of this well at the moment. Leon Köhler, who has made his pit stop. So it looks as though they have used the pit stop sequence to good advantage. Right into the pits is going to have to come back now because the time is running out. Anyone who hasn't pitted will need to pit now. So Dennis Bulatov will also need to peel off into the pits. Here he comes, peeling off into the pit lane. So our new race leader is going to be Tom Callender with Salmon Vega in 2nd place. Leon Köhler, after the pit stop sequence, up into what will be 3rd place. So Leon Köhler and Max Osten have made great progress, taking their longer pit stop as their first stop, taking the shorter 1 second time around. In the background, you can see Fack and Bulatov. So Bulatov will be handing over to Mike David Ortman. Once again, car 14 is under investigation for a pit stop time. So Alan Valente's day appears to be going from bad to worse. Now it's Jean-Luc Deoria at the wheel of that car. So we will see where car 4 with Alexander Schwarzer at the wheel rejoins when their pit sequence is done in comparison to the other cars around them. Remember, they will take a pit stop that is 10 seconds less than Dennis Bulatov, who's handing back over to Mike David Ortman. So we've got one eye on the pits. Where is our race leader? The driver, Tom Callender, who will be leading the race, currently up into turns 10 and 11 at the moment. So Tom Callender now heading out onto the pit straight. There is car number 4, that is rolling, and he will see car number 1, there it is, coming across the line now. So that is our new race leader, Tom Callender, leading the way. In the background, Salman Vega. Car 4, Alexander Schwarzer, second place at the moment. That second is soon to become third because sweeping around the outside, Salman Vega in that second place. Now, where is Leon Köhler going to be in the number 54 BMW? The answer is on the back bumper of car number 4. So any second now, Schwarzer is going to lose a position. He does exactly that, and car 54 moves up into that third place. So it is Leon Köhler in the BMW who leads the car of number 4, the Porsche of Alexander Schwarzer, now losing another place to Johannes Kapfinger, another driver duo. Johannes and Mikael Kapfinger have done a great job through the pit sequence up into 4th place. So Alexander Schwarzer into 5th place at the moment. Behind them, Marcel Marchevitz. So after such a strong start, along with Julian Hanses, now back in 6th place. So a bit of work to do from there. Our pole sitter, Tim Zimmermann, down in 7th place. So pit strategy really has played out here. There is our race leader, Tom Callender, the back marking Jean-Luc Deoria just behind him. Then, 2nd place, Salman Vega. Leo Köhler in 3rd. So the big losers through the final pit stop sequence has been Marcel Marchevitz and Tim Zimmermann, drivers that were fighting for podium positions. Now, after the pit stop sequence, fighting further back, but Marchevitz finding a route past Alexander Schwarzer around turn 2, sweeping around the outside. Tim Zimmermann going to follow through on the inside as well. So car number 4 with Alexander Schwarzer at the wheel, losing a couple of places. So up into 5th place goes Marcel Marchevitz. Into 6th goes Tim Zimmermann. Tom Callender leading the way. 8.5 minutes plus 1 lap remaining of this race 5, the first ever endurance race in ADAC GT Masters. Tom Callender leading the way, 4.7 seconds clear of Salman Vega. 4.6 seconds behind him is Leon Köhler in the BMW. Then a solid job from Johannes Kapfinger in 4th place, 2.8 seconds back. And then the fights that we have been watching with Marcel Marchevitz, Tim Zimmermann and Alexander Schwarzer. Out across the line we come once again. So 3.5 seconds. So Salman Vega trying to peg back the race leader. Still looking for his first win of the season. And David Schumacher looking for his first win ever in ADAC GT Masters. 2 times winner this season, Leo Köhler, along with Max Osten in 3rd place. Then the Kapfinger twins. Then Marcel Marchevitz, who's taken over from Julian Hanses. And then Tim Zimmermann, the pole sitter, who's taken over from Benjamin Heites. 7.25 minutes remaining of this race. All the pit stops are done and dusted. Just keeping one eye to make sure that all the penalties that needed to be served have been served. Car 14 received another penalty lap for going below the pit stop time. So Jean-Luc Deoria had yet another penalty and has served that by driving through the penalty box. There is the bronze-rated Alexander Schwarzer, the driver who is one half of the Pro-Am pairing. He is bronze rated, his co-driver Alex Fack, the silver rated driver, now in that 7th place. Looking down from turn 11, 6.5 minutes remaining of this race. Tom Callender still leading, keep an eye on the gap. Salmon Vega is pegging it back, 2.77 seconds from first to second. Leon Köhler is some 7 seconds behind them. So Mercedes 1, Mercedes 2. Tom Callender for Landgraf Motorsport with the HRT Mercedes with Salmon Vega at the wheel. 2.7 seconds. Can Salmon Vega do anything about the race lead with just under 6 minutes plus 1 lap remaining? Salmon Vega, the defending champion, one of the defending champions in the ADAC GT Masters, versus the race leader Tom Callender, enjoying just his 5th ever race in GT Masters. This time last year, he was driving a Formula 4 car. Such is the progress of young Tom Callender, along with Elias Seppänen, but now he's going to have to put all of his experience that he has, what little experience he's gained this year, he's going to have to put it to good use to defend from the way more experienced Salmon Vega, who is closing in on him. 2.77 last time around, with a little over 5 minutes remaining. We'll keep one eye on that. This is the battle for 7th. Alexander Schwarzer with Juliana Holzem just behind. Out of turn 11, once again, we keep one eye on them and one eye on our race leader. Across the line, 0.6 of a second has been taken out of the race lead as Holzem moves to the inside of Schwarzer. This is for 7th place out of turn 11 along the pit straight. Schwarzer is going to try and fight back at the Audi, but Holzem, the more experienced of the two, the silver rated driver, out towards turn 1, unable to fight back against Holzem. Schwarzer having to settle for that 8th place. The fight up and down the pack. Jonas Greif in 9th place with Kwanda Mokoena lurking to the outside. It is Lamborghini versus Mercedes out of turn 1. He has the inside line. The two cars make contact, and Kwanda Mokoena through on the inside, but Jonas Greif spinning the Lamborghini, but Mokoena losing a load of places. Has he got damage? It looks to me like he's broken his steering. So Kwanda Mokoena, who shares with Max Rice, you saw the two cars getting together, contact. It looked as though Jonas Greif trying to shut the door. Car number 5 was in the gap. The two cars got together, and it looks as though we may well be losing Kwanda Mokoena and Max Rice from this race. Such a shame, with 3 3/4 minutes remaining. And at the front, Tom Callender, 1.2 seconds with 3.5 minutes remaining. Salmon Vega looking for his first ever win of this, not first ever win, his first win of this season. Tom Callender, you can see the rear tyres of the leading Mercedes. He's sliding around a little bit. So Tom Callender, who leads the way, having taken over from Elias Seppänen, the defending champion from last year, Elias Seppänen, who leads the race along with his co-driver Tom Callender, who's at the wheel at the moment, and the other of the defending champions, Salmon Vega, in 2nd place, who is sharing driving duties with David Schumacher, currently closing in 1.2 seconds, 2 3/4 minutes remaining. After this, the first endurance race we've ever had for ADAC GT Masters. Can Tom Callender hold on for another 2.5 minutes? Salmon Vega has a sniff of his first win of the season in the number 2 Mercedes. It is Mercedes versus Mercedes. They are well clear of Leon Köhler in 3rd place. This is the race leader coming through in the gold, white and black Mercedes. 2nd place, Salmon Vega, the driver who has vastly more experience than Tom Callender, the youngest driver in the field, who is leading the race. Out along the pit straight we come once again, out towards turn 1. Callender currently in the lead, but it's down to 0.4 of a second. You just know that Salmon Vega is going to make a challenge at some point or the other. He has the 16-year-old Tom Callender just in front of him, holding on to the lead for all he's worth. I should think Elias Seppänen will be unable to even look at the screen as they continue around with just over 90 seconds plus 1 lap of this race remaining. Can Tom Callender hold on from Salmon Vega? First and second, running nose to tail. Mercedes versus Mercedes. Landgraf versus HRT. Tom Callender now having to focus on front. He needs to look at the road in front, not be too focused on the mirrors as well. But Salmon Vega is filling those mirrors. 1 minute and 8 seconds remaining of this race. After 77 minutes of racing, we have Tom Callender leading the way ahead of Salmon Vega. We're into the final minute of timed racing. Once the clock strikes 0, the leader will be able to finish the lap there. On to the inside comes Salmon Vega. Surely he has the position now into turn 11. Tom Callender tries to hold on around the outside. Out of 11 onto the pit straight. A new race leader. Salmon Vega takes the lead. He ducks across to the inside to defend the position into turn 1. Tom Callender's going to try and come back at him on the outside into turn 1. Can he get it slowed down? Will he turn back to the inside? He tries to go around the outside. Tom Callender fighting back against Salmon Vega. Vega, our new race leader. Once the clock strikes 0, it will be what remains of that lap, then 1 more. So it will be the remainder of this lap plus 1 more. Can Tom Callender do anything, or has Salmon Vega done what he needs to do to take his first of the win of the year, and for David Schumacher to take his first win ever in ADAC GT Masters? Around to turn 5, and out of turn 5 they come towards turn 6. It looks as though Callender's challenge has come to an end. The clock has struck 0. About a lap and a half remaining, and it is Salmon Vega who leads the way from Tom Callender. In third place, Leon Köhler is about 1.4 seconds clear of Marcel Marchevitz. So while that's been going on, Marchevitz has been pushing hard to try and get a podium position. Our championship leader, though, is Tom Callender and Elias Sepinen, but they are in second place now, coming round to start the final lap of the race. It is Salmon Vega along with David Schumacher. Into turn 1 they will come. Has Tom Callender got anything left? It doesn't look like it. He's a little way back now, about 1.1 seconds. So Salmon Vega clearly with fresher tyres as well, putting his experience to good use, closing in on the race leader and making the pass with less than 90 seconds remaining of timed racing into turn 3 for the last time, and out towards turn 4. It is Salmon Vega along with David Schumacher who will bring this home to lead the way. He just has to finish the last 6 corners of this race. Tom Callender, you get the feeling the tyres on that #1 Mercedes really are worn, along with Elias Sepinen, the 2 defending champions in ADAC GT Masters, running in first and second place. But Salmon Vega now out of turn 8 and in towards the Vidal chicane for the very last time, decelerating from something like 240 kilometers an hour through the chicane for the last time. It'll be up towards turn 11 he will come, and out of 11 onto the pit straight. He will see the checkered flag ahead of him. It is going to be Salmon Vega and David Schumacher who win the first ever endurance race in ADAC GT Masters. Second across the line, Tom Callender and Elias Sepinen, and it will be Leon Köhler who crosses the line next with Max Osten, his co-driver, taking the oh, it's Marcel Marchevitz. Marchevitz gets him at the line. Marcel Marchevitz and Julian Hanses jumping past at the line, or did they? Yes, they did. So Marchevitz jumping up to the last of the podium positions. We said it was closing, and at the absolute closing stages, Marchevitz getting past and into that third place, along with Julian Hanses ahead of Leon Köhler and Max Osten and Tim Zimmermann and Benjamin Heites, the pole sitter. Tim Zimmermann coming home in 5th place ahead of the Catfinger twins in 6th place. So great stuff there But Marcel Marcevic and Julian Hanses in the closing stages, getting a podium from this race. They will be delighted with that. Salmon Vega's first win of the season in ADAC GT Masters. And it is his, looking to see, it's his 5th win in ADAC GT Masters overall, but a first ever win for David Schumacher, the former DTM pilot, now in GT Masters, taking his first ever top step of the podium. Good points haul for Tom Callender and Elias Seppänen. A race that had a little bit of everything. It had a lot of drama, a delayed start after that incident on the formation lap, and now peeling off into the pits to conclude race 5 of the season. Winning in the Pro-Am category, it's Alexander Schwarzer and Alex Fack. They've come home in 8th place. Second in the Pro-Ams, Nico Handke and Chandler Hull in 12th place, and Gerhard Tweresa and Coach McCancy finishing in 16th place and 3rd in the Pro-Ams. So the Pro-Am race going the way of Fack Autotech in car number 4. The car's now peeling off into Parc Fermé. A race where the strategy was going to pay, taking the long stop first or second. The first time ever we've had 2 mandatory stops in ADAC GT Masters. And we conclude race 249 in GT Masters. Now, having a look again, this was the fight for 3rd place. It was on the Vidal chicane, and Leo Köhler just losing the back end. It's all about riding the curves through there. That was the only invitation that Marcel Marcevic needed, muscling his way through into turn 11 and getting it on the line. But that was the car that led the way for the last 90 seconds, and it was the 90 seconds that counted, with Salmon Vega at the wheel, along with David Schumacher, taking their first win of the season in the ADAC GT Masters, and that will propel them up the championship standings and into the championship hunt. And there was a replay of them crossing the line, eventually 2.2 seconds clear of Tom Callender along with Elias Seppänen. But just to remind you, Tom Callender, it was his 5th ever race in GT Masters. And as we look at the result, it was Salmon Masters. And as we look at the result, it was Salmon Vega's 30th race in GT Masters. So that was the 1, 2, 3 Marcel Marcevic and Julian Hanses getting the last of the podium positions. Will fill up by with 4th place here. Ahead of Johannes and Mikael Kapfinger. The Holzums, so twins in 6th, twins in 7th, so the Holzums, and then the leading Pro-Am drivers, Fack and Schwarzer. Mike David Ortmann and Dennis Bulatov in 9th, ahead of Jonas Greif and Simon Conoprim. After that moment where Greif got together with Kwanda Mokoena, the remaining places scrolling through on your screen there, through into an unusual place for Parc Fermé for this event, part of the Truck Grand Prix. And Salmon Vega, David Schumacher, we knew it was only a matter of time before they were going to stand on the top step of the podium this year. I think a big round of applause to Marcel Marcevic and Julian Hanses. What a potent combination they are, stealing the last of the podium positions. And in the background, I think that was the sound of Julian Hanses just banging the roof of the car. There is our race winner. There is Julian. And there's Marcel Marcevic, both being congratulated by Salmon Vega, who's getting used to this winning feeling. Of course, he is one of the defending champions. And there is David Schumacher, the son of Ralf Schumacher, receiving congratulations from Oliver Runske from the ADAC. There is the point standings. So Ovega and Schumacher suddenly into the championship hunt. They were a dim and distant challengers further back, but now they are just 39 points away from the championship lead. 13 points. Callender and Seppänen have opened up their lead over Leon Köhler and Max Osten. Fourth place in the standings. Zimmerman and Heites, 42 points adrift. Keep an eye on the cat fingers. They are not that far behind either. That fire that we saw has meant that Finn Wiebelhaus and Jannis Fitcher, who did not get to drive at all here in this race, they dropped down the standings as a result of their no score. And hopefully we will see them back on the track tomorrow. Nasty looking fire, and our best wishes to everybody who's involved in that and the extinguishing of that. And of course, all the track crew, the marshals, all wearing fireproof overalls, as indeed is the case with the drivers. So there's Elias Seppänen, who shares with Salman Ovega, with that was last year, with Tom Callender. Elias Seppänen, Tom Callender. Of course, Salman Ovega and Elias Seppänen were teammates in last year's championship. They won it. There is David Schumacher and Salman Ovega just posing for the cameras on the bonnet of the Haupt Racing Team Mercedes. So in just a few moments, we should see them onto the podium. Elias Seppänen, who will do the qualifying for car number 1 tomorrow. And David Schumacher will do the qualifying for car number 2 tomorrow. It will be the opposite tomorrow. It will be the shortest race in GT Masters history. Just 40 minutes plus 1 lap tomorrow. So Schumacher and Ovega just comparing notes. A Mercedes 1, 2, 3. Juan de Mocoena in one of the other of the Mercedes. We saw he had that damage. He was a non-finisher in the end. Recorded in 17th, but some 4 laps down on the race leader after that contact, which saw the steering broken.
GT Masters,
right.
Samstag auf dem Nürburgring.
Podium presentation is about to start.
Vor dem Podium und wir beginnen mit der Siegerehrung. Von euch Riesenapplaus für Gesamtrang 3. Schnitzelalm Racing Team.
So Schnitzelalm Racing in third place. Julian Hanses on his debut in GT Masters, receiving a podium. Marcel Marchewitz receiving his first ever podium in just his 5th race. In second place, Tom Callender and Elias Seppänen, the championship leaders, but taking their first win of the season. On the top step of the podium, Salman Ovega and David Schumacher. A first ever win for David Schumacher in GT Masters. And a representative from HRT onto the podium as well. So also winning in the Pro-Am category. They had to work for that one. Alex Fack and Alexander Schwarzer.
Das Podium von Lauf 1 und zu Ehren des Siegerteam Hauptracing Team erklingt die deutsche Nationalhymne.
Now the national anthem.
Dieses Problem, dann kriegst du ein Boxen natürlich mit.
Racing Team auf 1, Landgraf Motorsports.
So the national anthem done while we have a gap in the proceedings. To remind you that tomorrow qualifying for the 40-minute race will take place at 5 to 10 local time. A short, sharp qualifying of 20 minutes. And race 2 of the weekend, the 40-minute race, will take place at 3 local time. Matthias Grünthaler presenting the trophies to our race winners.
Den Leiter Motorsport bei Pirelli Deutschland, Michael Blaufuß.
And from Pirelli, Michael Blaufuß, a regular face in the paddock, the ADAC paddock, presenting the second place trophies to Samuel Vega, to Ellis Seppänen and Tom Callender. It's very hard to say Ellis Seppänen without saying Samuel Vega because they were such a partnership last year, but now in separate teams this year. But Julian Hanses and Marcel Marchewitz, very solid drive into that third place. Brilliant drivers, both of them. More trophies to be presented. This will be to the winning team from Haupt Racing. And then finally, we should see the Pro-Am trophies for Alex Fack and Alexander Schwarzer. I should think they've got a fair few of those by now. So the Pro-Am trophies also being presented.
ADAC GT Masters, Nürburgring, Lauf 1 an diesem Samstag.
Great stuff.
ADAC Truck Grand Prix.
So as part of the ADAC European Truck Grand Prix, the first ever endurance race for ADAC GT Masters has taken place. It had a little bit of everything, plenty of controversy, plenty of drama. It was quite an extended business, so for those of you that have made it all the way through this, thank you for joining us. Tomorrow, our focus will turn to the 250th race in the 18-year history of ADAC GT Masters. It will be a short sprint. It will be just 40 minutes, and it will be race 6 of the season. But race 5, which served up plenty of drama, plenty of excitement, and eventually served up a first win of the season for Samuel Vega and David Schumacher. Can they do it again tomorrow with a success ballast? Join us tomorrow to find out. We'll see you then. Bye-bye.
Ja, es war ein Hin und Her. Wir hatten in der Strategie was anders gemacht. Wir sind sehr früh in die Box gekommen. Dann hat Salmi mir das Auto übergeben. In der freien Luft konnte ich dann alles zeigen, was wir hatten. Ich habe die ersten 5 bis 10 Runden voll am Limit gefahren.
Racing Team. Siegertrophäe wird übergeben von Michael Blaufuß, Leiter Motorsport Pirelli Deutschland, an Salman Ovega und David Schumacher. Dr. Matthias Grünzahler spannen wir ein für den Zweitplatzierten Tom Kalender und Elias Seppelen, Landgraf Motorsport. Und lieber Michael Blaufuß, die Trophäen für Rang 3 gehen an Marcel Marschewitz und Julian Hanses. Meine Herren, auch das habt ihr geübt.
30 Sekunden dann, ne?
It's time for Champagne.
Und morgen ab 15 Uhr.
Und Chandler Hall für Motorsports Motorsport. Erste Martin und das Siegerteam mit der Standortliga Alexander Schwarz und Alexander Bach von Fach Autotech im Porsche.
Das haben wir es auch geschafft.
Hat ja gut geklappt.
Ich auch.
Ja, denke.
Das passiert immer mal. Andererseits sehe ich es dann auch so. Jetzt Oliver Schumacher hat ja auch geredet. Also